Hello and welcome back to my channel, Plutonian Priestess. Thank you so much for tuning in. I was originally going to be doing the second part of my astro intro video, the planets, and I will still be recording and doing that video. However, I put a poll up on my Instagram and my Twitter page to see if fans would be interested in an astrological perspective of the Kardashian drama that has been going on. If you are unfamiliar with the whole Tristan Thompson, Khloe Kardashian, Jordyn Woods scandal, I'll give you just a short background. I'm going to include some links in the description box from some outside sources if you want to read up on that if you aren't familiar. But basically, Khloe Kardashian is dating and had a baby with Tristan Thompson. Their baby, True, was born like 10 months ago or something like that. A couple days before the birth of True, Tristan was caught in a huge cheating scandal. Khloe, despite the cheating scandal, decided to stay with Tristan and try to work on the relationship because of their baby that they had together. Khloe has been kind of hush-hush about the relationship. She hasn't been posting very much about it or even really talking about it very much. But her sister, Kylie Jenner, is best friends with Jordyn Woods, as some of you may know. Jordyn Woods is recently more known as a model, and she also recently started her own fitness apparel brand called Second Nature. Jordyn and Kylie have been best friends for years and years and years. Kylie did a show, Life with Kylie or something like that. Jordyn was a huge part of her show with her. They talked about their friendship a lot, talked about how they were like soulmates, best friends, all this stuff. So when it came out that Jordyn hooked up with Tristan, Khloe's boyfriend, and Jordyn being Kylie's best friend, Kylie, Khloe, sisters, everyone was kind of shocked initially and almost didn't believe it. Like, would Jordyn really do that? Did Jordyn really do that? Is this just another fake Kardashian scandal? What's the real deal? Upon a little bit of research, it has been confirmed that it is true that Jordyn and Tristan did cheat together. So this is a big shakeup in the Kardashian Jenner world. For those of you who follow the drama, personally, keeping up with the Kardashians is one of my guilty pleasures. After looking at everybody's astrological charts involved, I think the most important person to start talking about is Tristan. Tristan Thompson has been caught cheating multiple times. People who are big Khloe fans came at him very hard and harshly, along with her sisters. There was some drama between him and Kim. Looking at Tristan's chart, first of all, I wouldn't date him. I wouldn't come within a 10-foot pole of him. Khloe should have seriously hired an astrologer to look at his chart before ever considering dating him, because his chart says trouble, trouble, trouble. And the thing is I wouldn't judge people based off their astrological charts, because it's not really fair. There's dark sides and light sides to all signs. There's positives and negatives to everything. However, Tristan has some troubling placements and aspects that someone would have to be very self-aware and have to be very conscious and be working towards to really solve. Unfortunately, we don't have Tristan Thompson's actual birth time, so we don't have his house placement. Means we don't have his rising signs, we don't have his planets in the house position. We do have a good guesstimate, I would say, of what his planets would be. There is a little variation. Of course, the sun is in the same sign all day, but the moon can change depending on, because it changes every 2.5 days. So if it's one of those half days, the moon can be kind of questionable. Outer planets, as far as like Jupiter is in a sign for a year, Uranus is in a sign for 7 years, give or take, you know, Neptune, Pluto, they're all in their signs for a very long time. So outer planets, you can be for sure that those are the correct placements. So Tristan Thompson has Pisces sun and Aquarius moon. Those are two signs that are stereotypically known to be a little adventurous in their dating life. Pisces can be super dedicated and super loyal, but they can also, if they are unhappy in any kind of way, they are the sign of escapist. So instead of confronting the problems in the relationship, a lot of the time Pisces will try to move on, break up the relationship another way, or just plain up cheat and continue in the relationship as it is, because they don't want to deal with the problem of it. Tristan has a baby with Khloe now, and she's a Kardashian, and their relationship has been very much in the spotlight. He could be wanting to escape the relationship or escape the pressure of the relationship by cheating, by seeking another outlet. That could be one source of his escapism. So someone with Pisces sun is gonna have two manifestations. So either they had a father who wasn't there, a father who passed away, a father who dealt with addiction issues, a father figure who wasn't really good at fulfilling the father structure. The father role is typically ruled by the sun and or Saturn. Neptune, whatever it touches, it dissolves. So sun is your ego, it's your energy, it's your vitality, it's your identity in the world. So when Neptune touches your sun, your ego, you try to erase yourselves in some ways. So you might have forms of escapism or forms of addiction. This could be alcohol, drugs, shopping addiction. Maybe you try to erase yourselves through your relationships. That could be a big problem. Tristan obviously is showing serious signs of sex addiction, and Pisces is a sign that battles with addiction. Aquarius moons are typically known to be a little adventurous. They can easily fall in love with associations and friends of theirs because they look for friendship in love. So if they're around someone a lot or creates a bond or a friendship with them, it is easy for them to grow sexual feelings for people that they are well acquainted with. Jordyn is someone who has been in the family, lives with Kylie, is looked at as family by the Kardashian family, and has been around Tristan a significant amount of time. So for him to develop feelings, if he has feelings, I don't know, let's say for him to develop sexual feelings for Jordyn is not that surprising, because he's going to feel more comfortable expressing himself sexually with someone that he has that friendship aspect with. Aquarius moons also are known to be a little bit experimental. They might like sex with multiple partners, or they might like to have group sex, or have sexual encounters that are considered different or adventurous or not the typical. They might find different ways to express themselves sexually. Aquarius moons are known for breaking boundaries, you know, and Aquarius moons are also ruled by Uranus. So they have kind of an irrationality about them, in the sense that they can run very hot and cold. Their emotions can be very strong one day and gone the next. So, and then they can be back again, and then they can be gone. And so Aquarius moons need a high level of excitement. They need a high level of stimulation, and if they're not getting that in their personal relationship, a lot of the times they can go and look outside their relationship. Aquarius moon is also fixed, so they're not someone who is going to necessarily want to break up. They don't like to change things. For them, it's probably easier to cheat rather than to break up the relationship that they are in. Aquarius moon is stereotypically known as being kind of unemotional. Like I said, stereotypically, Aquarius moons are going to be someone who process their emotions in a very individualistic way. So if they're in a low functioning state, they are going to probably choose to ignore their emotions, try to deal with them rationally, logically, intellectually, probably try to repress their emotions. Their emotions are going to come out in spurts. They're not always going to be expected. So their emotional nature, it can run very hot and cold. So they can have strong feelings one day and then their emotional nature can change very quickly the next day. Tristan may not feel comfortable expressing his emotional nature the way he needs to in his relationship with Khloe, or he isn't finding that sexual emotional outlet that he necessarily needs. Tristan also has Venus in Aries and Mars in Gemini, so he's someone who needs a lot of stimulation and attention, and he likes someone who is going to, with his Venus in Aries, he likes someone who's going to approach him as a basketball player, as someone who tours a lot, as someone who is considered attractive. He probably has women throwing themselves at him a lot, which is something that he would find appealing. Not only is it accessible, it also gives him what he's searching for, in a sense. Someone who has Venus in Aries is going to tend to get bored very quickly in love. Tristan also has Mars in Gemini. Someone with Mars and Gemini, Mars is your sexual drive, your self-will. Mars and Gemini is going to have a lot of different interests, right? So Mars and Gemini can be interested in multiple sexual partners at the same time. Mars and Gemini also is going to like variation. Mars and Gemini likes to switch it up. Mars and Gemini likes things to be fun, to be different. Those planets all want excitement, adventure, different. They want the experience. It's about the experience. Khloe does have Moon in Gemini, and that is typically a good overlay for their sexual life. However, Tristan seems to have an appetite that can't quite be fulfilled, and so he needs that variation to be satisfied, and so that Mars and Gemini is going to give him a little bit of a roving eye. Khloe is a Cancer, and although she has a Gemini moon, her moon is in the 4th house, so that gives her more Cancer-like qualities. She is not necessarily always going to be someone who wants to be adventurous, especially now that she's had a baby. She's had struggles with getting pregnant in the past. She's wanted to be pregnant for a very long time. She finally had her miracle baby, and she's probably looking to really settle down right now. Tristan hasn't had his Saturn return yet. He's not looking to settle down. He has an opposition between his Chiron and his Neptune. He has his Chiron in Cancer, and then he has that Neptune opposition in Capricorn, the confliction, because that's going to be Saturn energy and Neptunian energy. And so Saturn is our structure and Neptune dissolves structure. So when these two planets come together, they have kind of a conflict. His soul wound, his Chiron, is going to be in opposition to his Neptune. And how that's all going to be released is through Neptune. The way this release is going to occur is through addictions if the person is in a low functioning state. Tristan obviously is in a low functioning state because his addiction is sex. He has a very bad sex addiction. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't technically say that, but I would say he shows the signs for a sex addiction. So until he learns how to balance his soul self, his spirituality, his addiction issues with his soul wound, and he's going to have to confront his soul wound. So he's going to have to look inside of himself and do some deep reflection and facing exactly what has hurt him. And with a Chiron in Cancer, he's going to have problems with nurturing. He's going to have problems with mothering, with his mother figure, right? His moon in Aquarius is also going to show that maybe he didn't get enough nurturing as a child. Maybe there wasn't enough emotional support. Maybe he wasn't appreciated for his individuality or his uniqueness. Aquarius moons tend to have a very unique way of looking at the world. Perhaps that wasn't appreciated by his mother when he was a child, or appreciated by the people around him, and that would be his perception of it. Maybe others would say that his mom was great, and how could you say that? So he's going to have to get in touch with the fact that he has, 1, self-esteem issues, and 2, that he has problems accepting nurturing and love. Khloe is a sun in Cancer, and his soul wound is Cancer. So when Khloe is around, her sun, whatever someone's sun touches, is going to bring light to it, right? So her sun is going to bring light to his Chiron, his soul wound. So dating her is going to bring up painful lessons for him that are necessary for his soul growth. He's going to have to confront some of his soul pain through her, and you know, this is probably a very karmic relationship for them. But with a karmic relationship, a lot of the times one person is in a higher functioning state and one person is in a lower functioning state, and the relationship can easily become very unhealthy. Tristan also has Venus square Saturn, and so Tristan is going to face hard lessons in love, and so this whole scandal will be a hard lesson for him. It will be a hard lesson in love. Khloe will be a hard lesson in love for him. He's probably going to face a lot of backlash for this. He's already faced a lot of backlash for cheating scandals, not just with Khloe, but previously. Let's not forget that Khloe was cheating with Tristan on his last baby mama, so it's all bad. He also has Venus square Neptune, so he doesn't necessarily see his romantic relationships clearly. There's a little bit of a disillusionment. It also shows someone who is more capable of lying or decepting someone in their relationships as well. As far as his transits go, he has Sun conjunct Neptune going on right now, so he's not really seeing his purpose clearly. He's not really seeing his ego clearly, and he already has Pisces, Sun in Pisces. Tristan already has Sun in Pisces, so that's going to be a double Neptune effect going on right now. He also has Venus square Saturn in this transit. Once again, that's going to be hard lessons in love. It's also a common breakup transit. He has Venus conjunct Uranus right now, and so he's really going to be wanting to switch it up in his relationships. He's going to be feeling restless, unsatisfied, elsewhere, looking for fulfillment. Another common breakup transit. He's having Mars opposite Jupiter in his transit right now. Mars is your planet of sexual drive, and Jupiter is the planet of expansion, so his horny level up there, so he's going to need an outlet for that. And then he's also has Uranus conjunct Pluto. Uranus is the planet of unpredictability, and Pluto is our deep dark desires, and so they're merged together right now. So Uranus conjunct Pluto is going to bring up erratic spurts of fulfilling his deep dark desires. He also has Neptune conjunct Pluto. And so Neptune, he's not going to see his desires clearly, and he's not going to see his motivations clearly. So Pluto is not only our deep desires, but it's also our deep motivation. So he's not going to see his motivations clearly right now. He's also having Uranus and Neptune conjunct Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of responsibility, commitment, longevity. And so when you have Neptune conjunct Saturn, that discipline, that responsibility, that structure starts to break down, and that's what's currently happening to him. He also has Uranus conjunct Saturn, and so Uranus conjunct Saturn is going to create unpredictable lessons. So Saturn is the planet of karma, so, and Uranus is the planet of unpredictable change. So unpredictable karma is coming his way, and I would say the last year that has been very, very evident for him. Let's talk about Jordyn. So Jordyn is right at that 0 to 1 to 2 maybe degrees of Libra. She's born right on that beginning cusp. Someone who has a 0 degrees of a sign is brand new to the lessons of the sign. So someone who would have 0 degrees in Libra is going to be brand new to the lessons of partnership. So Jordyn in this lifetime is learning how to be a partner and how to be in a partnership. Libra is typically known as the sign of partnerships. However, a lot of Libras, with wherever your sun is, are the higher lessons that you're learning. It's your higher self. A lot of Libras have a hard time in partnership because they are learning the art of balance. They are learning the art of give and take. Someone who is a young Libra does not always handle their relationships necessarily the correct way, and I would say that Jordyn is obviously learning some hard lessons about partnership right now. Libra is also the planet of love, so she's going to have to learn certain lessons in love. We don't have Jordyn Woods' exact birth time, so when I put her chart into the astro.com forum, I put the time just at noon, and it put it at 3 degrees of Cancer. So that says that the day Jordyn was born, there was a shift in between Gemini to Cancer. So Jordyn, depending on the time she was born, she could either be a moon in Gemini or she could be a moon in Cancer. There's two different kinds of interpretations with this. So if she has moon in Gemini, Tristan's Mars is in Gemini, and that is a strong synastry aspect for sexual compatibility. If her moon is in Cancer, she is going to bring up issues of his soul wound. Jordyn has Venus and Mars in Scorpio. One with Venus and Mars in Scorpio is going to have desires that are deep, and not only are they deep desires, they're probably going to be secretive about what their desires are. They're probably going to have hidden desires. They're not going to be very expressive about what they are. They're probably going to be very secretive in love. They're probably not going to display their relationship all over. They're not going to necessarily talk a lot about their relationship. Someone with Mars and Scorpio is going to deal with deep passions and deep desires and deep motivations that are sometimes unexplainable. So Pluto is the planet of our deepest motivations and our deepest desires, and sometimes those aren't clear to us on a conscious level. So when someone has a Mars in Scorpio, they're going to be acting through their deepest motivation. They are going to be someone who is very intense. Someone with Venus and Scorpio is going to be attracted to someone who is dark, mysterious, someone who is taboo. So Venus and Mars and Scorpio are going to be attracted to the taboo. Them wanting to date someone they shouldn't isn't surprising. Them wanting to date someone that is unexpected or unpredictable isn't surprising. Pluto rules over things that people feel uncomfortable talking about. Pluto rules over desires that are meant to be kept to ourselves in a sense because they haven't been seen as socially acceptable. So someone with Mars in Scorpio is going to be motivated to fulfill their desires even if they know they're wrong. Someone with Venus and Scorpio is going to be easily attracted to someone they shouldn't be attracted to because it's the appeal of it. It's, well, you told me I couldn't, but I want to. All right, just some aspects of Jordyn's to go over real quick. Jordyn has Sun square Moon if her Moon is in Cancer. And so what that's going to mean for her is that there's kind of a battle between her head and her heart. Her heart says she should do one thing. Her head says she should do another. There's kind of a disagreement between her logical higher self and her more emotional reaction and temperament. Jordyn also has Venus square Jupiter. Someone with Venus square Jupiter is going to be very much about fulfilling their desire. Venus is the planet of pleasure and Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So they're all about fulfilling their pleasure side. And so they can be kind of hedonistic in a way. Jordyn also has Venus square Uranus. So she's going to be unpredictable in love. She's also going to like partners who are unpredictable. She's going to like someone who's interesting, different, someone who stands out. She's going to be attracted to Aquarian partners. And remember, Tristan has Moon in Aquarius. Jordyn also has Mars conjunct Pluto, so that whole Scorpio Mars element is really going to be magnified. Saturn right now is currently in Capricorn and Jordyn's a Libra, and so that creates a square for her. When Capricorn is in hard aspect to your sun, you have to be careful because that is a time when karma will easily catch up to you. It's a time for hard lessons. It's a time about learning about yourself. And so Saturn is very good at coming around and knocking you down. If you look at Jordyn and Tristan's overlay, because Jordyn's sun is in the early degrees of Libra and Tristan's sun is in the latter degrees of Pisces, there is an opposition between them, between their suns. With a sun-sun opposition, a lot of the times there is immediate attraction and a pull that you just can't quite explain. The problem with oppositions is eventually it's either one, karmic, or two, it ends badly, or three, you get under each other's nerves eventually. The things that originally appeal to you about the person are eventually the things that sometimes you hate about them. hate about that person. I don't want to say that all sun opposite sun relationships don't work out, because a lot of them do. However, your purposes in life are completely opposite. So if you don't know how to balance that, it won't work out. But sun opposite sun is going to be a huge attraction element initially. Tristan and Jordyn are also going to have Tristan's moon conjunct Jordyn's Jupiter. So Jordyn expands his emotional nature. So if there was any emotional draw or sexual appeal or any nature that he felt like expressing, Jordyn would expand upon that and bring that out of him. Tristan's Venus is also going to be conjunct Jordyn's Saturn, so that means that there's going to be a hard lesson or a karmic lesson involved in some way. Tristan's Venus is also square Jordyn's Neptune, so there's a little bit of a soul urge underlying there. Tristan's Jupiter is also opposite Jordyn's Uranus, so that's going to bring out some of her unpredictable nature and perhaps make her act out of character or unlike how she would normally behave. Back to the whole hard aspects in love, Tristan's Saturn also squares Jordyn's Venus, so there's karmic lessons going back and forth there. Tristan's Saturn is going to conjunct her Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. So Saturn is the planet of restriction, and that going in conjunction to her Jupiter is going to mean that he squashes her good luck. Just like that. And that's because he just ruined her relationship with Kylie Jenner. Well, they both ruined the relationship. Really, Tristan's Neptune is in opposition to Jordyn's moon, so she doesn't necessarily see him clearly. So with these hard Neptune aspects, they're going to be feeling really connected to each other, and they're going to feel like kind of a spiritual connection, and that's going to make them more likely to disregard other people's feelings and go for the relationship. So obviously we know that Jordyn and Tristan cheated together, but the big question now is, what's Kylie gonna do? There's rumor that Kylie kicked Jordyn out of her guest house. Is this really the end to their friendship? If you look at Kylie and Khloe's synastry between each other, they have a very tight bond. They have Jupiter in each other's 12th house, and that creates a very spiritual bond between each other. They feel very connected to one another. They feel like they understand each other subconsciously. Kylie and Khloe also have their Venuses in each other's 7th house, so they also appreciate each other and value each other and what they offer in partnership. They appreciate each other's love styles, and they complement each other's personalities very well. Kylie is going to probably be feeling a lot of loyalty that needs to be held to Khloe during this time. Kylie also has Mars and Libra. Mars and Libra don't like to fight. Mars and Libra is in detriment because it is the opposite of Aries, which is at home in Mars. Mars in Libra is going to want to avoid the fight. So Kylie is most likely going to want to keep the family happy because that is who she is around all the time. That is who she works with. That is who she spends her entire life with, who she's on a show with. And Kylie also has a baby now, and so I think that she's going to want to be more family focused at this time. So I think Jordyn's really going to get the boot here. Jordyn's Pluto falls in Kylie's 11th house, and so Pluto can be the planet of poison in overlays, and so 11th house shows our friendships and so our associations, and so Jordyn's Plutonian poison was in Kylie's friendship house, so it's not really a great overlay for friendship. Kylie also has Uranus exactly conjunct her 4th house cusp. So Uranus is the planet of unpredictable change, and 4th house rules our home life. With Uranus sitting on your 4th house cusp, you can expect a big moment of change, which she obviously did. Going into this year, Kylie probably expected to have her best friend with her, helping her take care of her baby and going on about their lives as they planned. However, now amidst this scandal, Kylie is going to have to force looking at her life without Jordyn and what that means for her family. So Kylie is facing a big time of change on her 4th house front. And not only is this your home life, this is going to be your emotional regard as well. And it's also going to rule the women in your life. So there's going to be a major change in the women that Kylie is surrounded with at this time. Kylie also has Mars in her 4th house right now, so that's going to signal some kind of fighting or argumentation at home. Obviously, this is probably not the best time for the family, and these planets are going to be all opposite her 10th house. So a lot of this family drama, as always with the Kardashians, is going to be up in front, hot and center for everyone to see. All the tabloids, all the drama, we've seen all the memes. It's all up there. We also have Saturn and Pluto coming up on Kylie's 1st house. Think of it as like a little journey through the houses. When a planet goes from the 12th house, which is usually what's secret, to the 1st house, which is what's out into the world in the personality, there can be a change. So with Pluto, the planet is secrets, and also a lot of the time sex is involved. So in this case, there was a secretive sex encounter that was hidden for Kylie, that moved to her 1st house and came to light. This scandal also came to light during the full moon in Virgo, and that is very common for a full moon. Full moons often bring realizations. They bring to light things we didn't know. They can bring confrontations and emotional confrontations that we would rather avoid, that need to be confronted. Kylie's moon squares Jordyn's Uranus. Typically, this isn't a great aspect for emotional relationships because moon is our security. It's where we feel safe, and Uranus is the planet of unpredictable change. So when someone's Uranus touches our moon, we don't feel like we can always feel secure with them. We don't feel always safe with them. And Kylie is a moon in Scorpio, so naturally she keeps her emotions hidden from the world. She'll probably not talk about this scandal. This will probably be something that was very secretive. She kept her pregnancy secretive. She doesn't really react to things publicly very often. It's very typical of a moon in Scorpio. Kylie also has her moon in the 10th house, so she's going to have more of a reserved nature than the typical Scorpio moon. The problem that comes in with having her Scorpio moon in the 10th house is planets that fall in the 10th house can come to light to the world even if we don't want them to. So with Kylie's moon in the 10th house, although she tries to keep her emotional nature secret and keep her home life secret, most of Kylie's emotional tribulations and her home life is put up to display for the world to see. Obviously, she has been on TV from a young age, keeping up with the Kardashians. So there is a bit of a confliction there for her. Moon in Scorpio, when wronged, can be not someone you really want to mess with. Kylie is probably seething inside. This is not something that she will get over. Scorpio moons are known for holding grudges. If you have wronged a Scorpio moon, they're not likely to get over it. So even if Jordyn apologizes to Kylie, apologizes to Khloe, apologizes to the family, it's very, very unlikely that Kylie will accept her friendship again. Scorpio moons have a hard time trusting as it is. They don't have a trusting nature, and they don't easily let people into their lives, and they don't easily let people out of their lives either. So once they make the choice to be done with a relationship, it is usually for good. Someone who has moon in Scorpio is really going to be someone who never forgets. They're going to be someone who processes pain on a very, very deep level, and when they process pain, they go through a rebirth of sorts. And so once they go through a process of rebirth, they don't like to go and reopen the past again and again and again. And not only that, they can be very vengeful, they can be very angry, and they can be very bitter. So this is not something that is likely to be forgotten easily. Kylie has Scorpio on her 11th house cusp. Kylie is going to be very loyal to her friends, and she's going to take her friendships very intensely and very seriously. She probably looks at her sisters as her best friends as well. So if you've wronged one of her sisters, she's not going to take that lightly, just as if you had wronged one of her best friends. This is going to be a very hard situation for Kylie to deal with. Khloe has been pretty stubborn in wanting to work the relationship out. Personally, I don't have any opinions on whether she should have stayed or should have went, because I think in every relationship it's between two people, and that's for you to decide. And when someone has a kid, it definitely does complicate things. However, in light of this recent cheating scandal, I think she has done the right thing. Taking a peek at Khloe's transit, She has Neptune on her first house, so the last year, 10 months or so, we've been seeing Neptune, which is the planet of deception, move from the 12th house into her first house. So we are having deception and lies come to light. And remember that Tristan, his whole opposition has to do with his Neptune tendencies, and his Neptunian tendencies have really been coming to light for Khloe. Also, she has Chiron on her first house right now, and so her soul wound is up there for everyone to see. And she's really dealing with a lot of personal pain, and has been this last year. Khloe has Uranus in her second house right now. Second house is typically known as ruling our finances, but it also has to do with our value system in the sense of our self-worth. So how do we value ourselves? What do we find of value in ourselves? So with Uranus in a second house during a transit, you're going to be going through a period of changing the way you value yourself, changing the way you look at yourself. Although this may be an emotionally very hard time for Khloe, she's going to come out of this looking at herself in a completely different way. She's going to look at herself with newfound self-esteem. She's going to go through some kind of change in the way that she values herself. She has her Jupiter in her 10th house right now, and like we know, her business is all up for everyone to see with that Jupiter in the 10th house, but that's also opposing her 4th house, and her moon is opposite Jupiter. So we have her moon in there at the 4th house opposite her Jupiter, and so all of her business and everything, all of her emotions and all the displays, once again, are up for everyone to see. She has Saturn in the 11th house and Pluto in the 11th house right now. So that's hard karmic lessons and those sexual desires coming to play in her friendships right now. Also have Venus opposite Saturn that Khloe is going through. That's a common breakup transit, as well as learning hard karmic lessons. So all these things that are happening, whether they would like to admit it or not, are all very karmic, and everyone in this little triangle, square, octagon, however many people you want to include in it, everyone is learning karmic soul lessons at this time. Overall, Khloe's transits say that everything has been coming to a head and coming to a light, and it's reaching a point that she really can't ignore any longer. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's all I have for now. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and share it on your social media channels. I will see you next time for Astro Intro Part 2, The Planets.